what's it called? A little trailer, a little intro that we recorded when Roy was down here the other day. So we're going to have to get that in here. But you're not Roy.
I'm not Roy.
You're not Roy. So we won't play that one today anyway. Hey, welcome everybody. Word of the week. And today is Christmas Eve. So we're excited. Roy is actually traveling back home to Ohio from Florida, or they may have got in at like 3:30 this morning, I think he said. So he's not joining us today. Instead, I have a special guest, my little sister, Victoria Kidd. Thanks for coming, sis.
Glad to be here.
I'm so awesome. I'm so excited.
I'm so awesome. Look at that.
Well, let's do that too. Let's talk about that for a minute. The word of the week is not awesome. But while we're on the subject.
This guy.
No, but I'm excited that, that we're close enough, geographically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Geographically?
Don't know if that's
Why can't I put words together this morning at all?
Because it's Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas Eve. All right. So anyway, geographically speaking, I'm excited that we're close enough that you could come over here and sit on the pod couch. We call it the pod couch because we podcast from the couch. So sit on the pod couch with me and discuss. And last week when Roy and I were live, we decided that that we should do Word of the Week being family, since it's that time of year where family gets together, especially this year when it's so hard to get together with family. But we've been hanging out with y'all since the beginning of Corona, so if we got it, you got it.
Right.
But thank God, literally, that none of us have it. So today we're going to discuss family. And man, family is such a broad word. And the way it works on the pod couch here for Word of the Week is whoever comes up with the word has to go first. And that would be me. So I'm going to go first on this, and then we'll let you talk. Because once she gets started, it's over. Got
that from him.
It's over. So for me, family is, well, I think for us probably, but I don't want to speak for you, but family is such a broad term. It's not just blood relationship. And I know the way that we were raised is like the village mentality, right? Everybody, whether you're related or not, you probably are. The hills of West Virginia, the hollers run deep, but the bloodline don't. Facts, right?
True fact.
So kind of growing up with that mentality that everybody's your family, and the thing, especially growing up without a lot, those relationships is all you got. And, whether it's preparing a meal, you cook enough for everybody. And if somebody stops by, you feed them. That's just what we do. We feed people, right? Because you really don't have much more than that, right? You got
in West Virginia, everybody's fed. You can tell.
Everybody's fed, yeah. And so for me, family is like a broader spectrum than just blood. It's my work people are my family, like employees and team members and everybody. And I use the term brother a lot or sister a lot. And I think part of that's probably from the church too, right?
That's the church.
That's from the church. Oh, brother Kenny, brother this, brother that, sister, what you know? And so we kind of have fun with that. But I do. I call everybody brother and sister. And I don't know. I just think it's cool to just I think there are cultures where it's just really family is just who you're blood related to. And for me, we could get biblical on it and go all the way back, right? That
I did look that up.
We're all God's children.
Yeah, I
right?
looked that up. That was part of it too.
So that would be appropriate
yeah.
For this time of year, especially. So that's family for me. Is really just family is less of that blood relationship, but it's more of how you treat people.
Right.
I guess I could have just said that instead of rambling. What about you? Talk to me about family. Since this is my little sister. If you're just tuning in, this is my little sister. So Word of the Week being family, I thought appropriate to have Vicky on the podcast today.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously kind of the same thing. We definitely grew up knowing that, family is who you choose to be your family, So like when you're in the military people are your military family.
Right.
Your Army family, your Coast Guard family, your whoever. I got basketball family from Elijah Sports or Isaiah's lacrosse team or, whoever. So you got your church family.
Oh,
You got your church family. You got your church family. You go to lunch after church every single time.
Hey, lunch after church is a good thing.
It's
I mean,
literally
that's a
like
real thing.
that is. It is. It's a sense of, you know, just love and just time to spend with people that care about you, that you care about, and just to catch up. I think also that, you know, deciding who your family, not just for yourself, but for your family, your kids, is also kind of a big deal. You know, Uncle Jay and them didn't know that they were not our blood family until our dad passed away.
True. So we got to tell the people about this stuff. So here's a real deal, right? We show up in life and don't know what's happening because we're little baby children people. And then we grow up calling uncle this and uncle that. And then and this is particularly the people here in like Palm Harbor, Florida, our family there, because our grandparents, my dad's parents, moved here in Palm Harbor like in the 50s, like in the late 50s, early 60s, I guess. And that Palm Harbor, see, there's one of them. Savannah, right there's one of them. We love you too. But they show up here, and Palm Harbor was a different place back then.
All orange groves.
Nothing but orange groves, as far as you could see.
As far as you could see it.
And even when I grew up here in the 80s, it was a completely different place than it is today. But I grew up living here in the 80s, and all these family members, like my mom taught Sunday school at the church.
At the church.
To all the children in the neighborhood. Yep. And all those children grew up to be my uncles and aunts.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I'm still sorting it out. So I'm not going to pretend like I know what's going on. But it wasn't, I mean, I'm still trying to sort out who's my blood family.
Right.
And then I gave up one day. I said, no, it really don't matter none.
No, but it was true. Like with Uncle Jay and them, which the Hurleys are huge of a family. You got all these, and then it's like, oh, but whose kid is he? Well, we ain't blood kin. I'm sorry, what? So it's like, you know, that for us though, the amount of love and relationship we have and have had and always have had and always will have with certain people or families that are not blood related, has been passed down to us by our fathers or mothers making these, you know, relationships with other people. So in that instance, we still have, you know, our kids that we decide and we choose also who their family's going to be, that isn't blood related, you know. So whoever we bring around, that's, you know, we have Sarah and Amanda. I have Sarah and Amanda, and that's, you know, they're family to us.
That's right.
And, you know, you can't tell the kids anything different.
Well, you know, what's funny is like Roy and Rachel the other day when they were talking, like we were all together, and Reese had said something about it. But Rachel says, "That's your Uncle Joe. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, you know, whatever." She's like, "That's your uncle." Like we've literally, like since Ryan was a baby, like we've been together, we've been hanging out, we've been family, and so family does grow. So that's your family that you grow. Then there's the family. Let's switch gears for a minute.
Okay.
So there's the adopted family. That's the people that we
choose.
May or may not even know if we're related to them or not, but we call them family because.
Or if you're in West Virginia,
if you just love people, look, man, this is really, for me, it boils down to just love people, man. And I mean, that's the lesson. That's the biblical lesson that we learn is, right? We just treat everybody that way. But let's switch gears for just a second and go over to, hey, good morning, Aunt Vida. That's real family there.
Oh, there's another one there.
There's a real family member there too.
By blood, and we know that.
That's
because she's the one that can tell you who is and who isn't.
That's the one we go to there.
That's the go-to.
That's the go-to. Because my mom could remember everybody's birthday, 400 children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
And send you a card with shiny stickers.
With stickers
all over it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So shifting gears for a second. So there's the family in a very broad sense, and that's just everybody that we just love on. Then somebody's going to comment about my accent coming back, because when I get around here and start talking about it, oh boy.
It's my fault. See, everything's my fault.
I mean, that's why our parents had you. Hey, what's up, Patrick? How's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. So shifting the gear, I've been trying to shift gears for about 10 minutes now, but shifting the gear to this. So there's the family that you just love all people around you.
Gotcha.
But then there is the prescribed family. Those are the people that you are blood related to, and you can't get rid of them even when you want to. And you all got one. Don't judge me, okay? Because y'all got one. Y'all got somebody in your family. You're like, I don't know. I'd be friends with them if I didn't have to be. So here's what I've assessed that, right? Here, I was actually just talking to someone about this yesterday. No, I've got a whole thing about this, Vicki. I got a whole thing about this.
Lord, we should have prayed before we started this, but
Good thing.
Aunt Vita, go ahead and pray for us real quick. We need it right quick.
Right quick. No, but here's the thing about it. I think it's really kind of cool. So there's people that you like, that you're introduced to in life, and you're like, oh, those are really cool people, and you naturally bring them in as extended family. Then there's people in your family, and for whatever reason, and they could be any distant relationships or whatever, that are maybe just not good for you. Maybe they're on a different track of life that is not a positive influence on the track that you're on. But you can't write them off. Like, not me anyway. I mean, some people do. Some people say, hey, not my family no more, right? But for me, I just can't write. And I think that's a cultural thing, probably how we was raised, but I can't just write people off. So I just
Thank you.
I do love her.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people for whatever reason, right? That but that are part of your family, like literally blood related, that you can't just get rid of family. You can't write people off. You can't divorce a cousin or an aunt or an uncle or a brother or sister or parent or whatever. So I think there's a really cool lesson of patience and love, like enduring love, that's in that, where you got to love on them, but you do have to put boundaries, I think, even with your family.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, they have to be, like, the people in your circle, I believe, have to be people who are carrying you closer to the destination, who are going to support your walk, whatever that walk is, and encourage you and lift you up and celebrate your victories and help you get there. But sometimes we've got people that we're forced to be around, whether it's a boss or a family member or a neighbor or whatever, that are not part of that positive influence. So how do you don't have to say no names, I don't want you to, but how do you deal with those circumstances, those situations where you want to love on somebody because you kind of have to, but you have to keep them a little bit at a distance? So you've probably experienced that.
Maybe once or twice.
Don't point at me when you do it.
No, I think that it's kind of your own self-growth a little bit too, because, there's always in the back of my head kind of that, as growing up, being taught kind of dad's little rhymey verse of, if they're not helping, they're hindering. And you have to remind yourself of that sometimes and bring yourself back to that, because sometimes you can get consumed with, especially me, I get very consumed with being a helper of people, or, caring or putting too much of myself into other people that I forget about myself, or, take away from my family. And my family knows that I am, my kids, I should say, and Victor, know that I am a very compassionate, giving person.
Right.
And so it's hard for me to just even step away a little bit sometimes, because I know that there are other people that need me also, but that's also like a nursing thing, but I think that it's just a balance is what you have to end up figuring out, and self-reflecting often, so that when you've gone too far into where you're taking away from what you need to do, or you're losing focus of who you are or what you're supposed to be doing, because you're pouring out so much to somebody else. So it's just self-reflecting often to make sure that, yes, it's important to help your neighbors, your family, your friends, whether they be, adopted or family or friends or blood or, just the neighbor, literally your neighbor or whoever. But just self-reflecting to make sure that you always kind of keep that structure and balance in your
That's
self.
hard to do.
It is very
Because we
hard.
give everybody our best, and we get home, and the people are
You're
closest to us get the
Yeah.
rest, whatever's left over. I think that's why it's important to kind of keep, and I've got it wrote down in my notebook, it's easy to know it,
Right.
but I got it wrote down: God, wife, family. In that it's that order.
And
On
biblically,
purpose,
it's
but we don't do it in that order
well,
always.
sometimes, and you don't. Elijah had a basketball coach that was very influential in his life, and he always told him and taught him, because it's a drive and a motivation and a love for him so much. And as a kid, you have responsibilities for like your schoolwork and to be a good kid, do your stuff, your chores around the house, blah, blah, blah. But, to teach them that it's, you have to have that structure of life of God first,
right?
Family, then basketball. I mean, school should be
God,
there, but
spouse, then family.
well, I'm saying
not for Elijah.
For Elijah,
he ain't got a spouse.
He does not. We're good for that.
But hold on, but that's important. We can't just breeze past that like it's not there.
No,
because
correct.
I wish somebody would have ingrained that in me early.
Right.
You know why?
Right.
You know why? Because it was God, family, and they probably did ingrain it. I just didn't catch it. Right.
Right.
But the God family, again, go back to the very first part of this conversation, which was everybody's family. And when everybody's family, who's the priority family member?
Right. Well, I guess it's kind of like, in my eyes, I would say that I guess we're kind of supposed to know that because, in my mind, it's like, okay, well, you leave your home, your house with your, parents or, home life family to move on, get married and grow up. And then automatically, biblically, that's supposed to be your number one over, your parents, your other extended family, because that's what God said to do. So in my mind,
how hard is it to be like, oh, I got to choose you over my kid? Like, you should be, you know what I mean? It's that
is
like,
a
that's a whole
situation.
thing, but that's what you're supposed to,
that's
what you're supposed to do. But on the other side of that, and this is where you're supposed to have a mate that's equally yoked. They understand, right? They know because you're on the same page. You're saying, hey, we made these kids, they're a priority of ours together. And it's so hard because emotions really, man, this is a tough one because emotions and feelings, and you're like, wait a minute. But,
well, I think that's, it's sometimes obvious, obviously you get into a part where you're just like, with your significant other, whoever, you're kind of just in heat of a moment and you got to sit back and whatever. I mean, Victor definitely deals with situations about certain things way better than me. And I just am like tapped out and I'm like, but then I sit back and I think, thank God that I have him to be able to tap me out sometimes or
hey, I thank God that you have him to tap you out sometimes too. Victor, we love you. And thank you for the comment there. And Uncle Maxie, we love you too.
Love you.
But he has to be some sort of special man to deal with you. This is my little sister, folks. I got to do it. But for real, though, think about it.
No, he is.
No, he is.
Yeah, I haven't kept him around for 15 years for no reason.
You mean he ain't kept you around 15 years for no reason?
We both are still alive. That's just something story that I would like to also. So we pushed through a lot of things. So, he's somebody that I've chosen to bring in to be a part of my family. And then with him,
and he took me in
a different part of him. So let's talk about that for a second.
What?
So so not just about him though, but no, truly
his
family. So with him comes them. And people thought that Victor and I were absolutely crazy because we are the Brady Bunch modern day wise of he had 3 kids. I had 3 kids. We had the baby together. People thought we were absolutely insane. Possibly, yes, a little bit. But it was great for us because they pretty much kept each other all busy. They were, for the most part, around the same ages enough to where they had like a built-in best friend. So, that was work. That was great for us. That worked for us. And then, but with that, you know, it comes his sister and his brothers and, you know, their kids and obviously his mom and dad, aunts and uncles, and, you know, and nieces and nephews. Like, I genuinely love these people with my whole heart, and they're wonderful people. And that comes with,
I've experienced that.
You have been now, because of my choice to bring them around, you've been able to experience that. And then we have Joe, you know, with mom and the girls and, you know,
his whole family.
And especially you think about it, it's like we were the two of us for all of our lives with no other siblings. And then it's just like, okay, well, now we have this and that and whoever. So it's definitely, it's good. It's good. It's good to be able to bring other people in.
I love that you made this transition in perfect time. Shifting gears again.
See, I shifted better than him because he shifted it like, let me change gears for like 10 minutes. But I did that.
This is a part that has been one of the most important pieces of my life when I talk about family. And I think it's kind of cool. Like, I don't understand how. Love you, Aunt Vida. Thank you for tuning in. Elle and Heather, we love you too. Hi, big as a ocean. But I don't understand how people, because everybody has different experiences, I guess is all it really is. But how people don't get along with their siblings. And I don't mean that in a, like you and I don't think we ever fight. I don't think we ever have really fought, but we've like real fights, like talking about, I'm not talking to my sister again. I'm not talking to my brother again. And it crushes my soul. Like, it really hurts my heart when people have such bad relationships or there's something between family members, whether it's brother and sister, mother, father, father, son, father, daughter, whatever. Like, it just, it hurts. Like, it really, really hurts my heart to see family members who don't get along. Because here's one thing
I think that the reason why that is so deep for you and I, that we're able to just swallow our pride, swallow whatever the situation is because we know how important that is because we don't have dad. So, you know, when you know this and you lose something so important and so, you know, like what would it have been if, I mean, he's not here, so we know, we just can kind of guess and hope and wish of like, what is it? Would we be making him proud? All those things. But like, when people are actually still here, you long for them and you mourn them being not with you anymore, but they're still present. But us, we had no choice. Like, you know, you can make up, maybe you have that part of you that's like, oh, well, maybe eventually we can get through that. Maybe sometimes, maybe sometimes, maybe he'll finally call and apologize, or she, or whatever.
Yeah. And
you'll get through it. But when you genuinely can't do that, and you learn that, and it's instilled in you at such a young age, you have a different respect for life, for your family, a different appreciation. Absolutely. For sure. So I think that's why it is. So, I mean, there's been plenty of people over the years that have ticked us off enough, family or adopted family or whatever you want to call them, that we could have possibly been like that as well. But I think that, you know, God knew what he was doing, even though it stunk. But it's given us a different appreciation for life and for people. Sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a whole different perspective when you lose someone very close to you, especially when you get around the holidays. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, when I see those broken relationships, I think about relationships that you can't go back and heal them once that person's gone, and that's a big pill to swallow. The thing for me as well is just, you are the only person on this earth that when I say they don't understand or nobody gets it, you do get it.
Yeah.
Because growing up, those struggles, those victories, all those accomplishments, those things, like, we lived that together.
Yeah.
It was like when dad wasn't there and it was mom that was raising us, you were there with me and I was there with you. When it was, we were living with dad or like, it was just me and you. So there was literally nobody
Yeah.
else on this earth.
Especially in Dixie County.
There was
a whole lot of
literally
people
nobody
around.
else on earth that had
Exactly.
that experienced our childhood together. Like it was just you and me.
Right.
And sometimes I was raising you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you kept me alive because I was obligated to take care of you, and I couldn't let you not make it through, and I couldn't let you make it through alone. And so it's like I wasn't told to do that. I wasn't born to do that, but I was born to do that. So I think that there's just a special bond with family members that when you experience something together, like our cousins, right? When we go and talk to our cousins, we're like, when we talk about mama from the cousin's perspective and the man's family, you don't have to even talk about it.
Yeah.
You just say mama, and your cousins all get it.
Yeah.
All 4,000 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they all get it. Yeah. We all have that in common. You can smell the honeysuckle on the vine, by the creek, on the farm,
down the holler.
In West Virginia.
The sunshine
where they pump the sunshine through the pipe. I mean, you just say the farm up in West Virginia, Mama Papa's farm, and you're there. The nostalgia just comes with it. And I love that I think that's the thing about honey butter. I think that's the thing about family is when you have that thing in common. And maybe that's why extended family or adopted family or whatever you want to call them are so important. Like my Army family, right? My military family out in Hawaii. We got married. Jess and I got married in Hawaii. The only people there that were related were my Army family.
Yeah.
Because it was in Hawaii. During Christmas time.
Right before Christmas. Yeah.
We made the decision in October that we're going to get married in December in Hawaii. So we were talking about that. I'm like, that was our family. I love, you said this earlier. I love that where you have different pods, I guess, of family, your church family, your whatever, work family, whatever. And you know what? I didn't share it, but I sent a message to all my Army buddies and asked them to record a video, just a happy anniversary video.
Aww.
And everybody that was at our wedding just about sent us a short video, and I put them all together and I gave them to Jess as one video.
Awesome.
So, but that's how your family 20 years later, that family that is not blood related,
correct,
came through in a matter of an afternoon. And
well, that's like, we had recently just a couple months ago Victor and I camping for the weekend. A friend of his birthday was coming up, and so we got to get away for a couple days up north Florida, and was able to reconnect with Tina.
Yeah.
And
we ain't gonna call her by nickname. We ain't gonna do that on the internet. Sorry, but I'll text her.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, my friend, since I lived in Dixie County, and I think I was like 8 years old, she was, my best friend. I had her and Jennifer McLaughlin. Joey won't call her by her nickname either. See, he don't want to get in trouble while we're on the internet. We're going to have to do this more often. So he don't call people names. No, but so it was amazing because I physically had not been in person and seen her for 22 years or something, I think. And she came out, we met up, and they had, music and karaoke and stuff. I mean, it was literally like we had not skipped a beat. Now we have, talked and texted and video chatted and, even over the years, maybe wrote some letters, whatever. We stayed in contact intermittently over, the last 22 years. And then, obviously prior to that, but it was just that, and she's my family, like growing
kind of a big
up.
Deal.
It is a big deal. And Tina.
Love you, Tina.
Anyway, so.
I mean, she's a big heart.
Joey, okay, I'm going to go out here and throw Joey under the bus because he keeps doing this. So I was like this big, nothing but legs, and
we're going to go there. We got
my
1
friend
minute left.
Tina was taller and
she wasn't
grown
overweight.
up.
She's just
a little bit
She was more mature than
mature body wise. So he used to call her big friend and me little friend. So his knocks about big heart, and
she does that. She's a sweetheart.
she's the best. She really is. I absolutely. She hasn't sent me the photos of her and I whenever we were kids. She was supposed to send them a couple months ago. Just throwing that out there. But no, she's awesome. So no, I just mean it's definitely who you decide to have as your family. It's a choice. It's a choice to keep them close or far, depending on, who they are or what they take from you or what you get from them. But, it's definitely a choice. I'm grateful to be able to have you all here and see my niece and my nephew grow up and Sammy coming down. And
I'm grateful that, like when you're in the suck, it ain't fun. And we definitely experienced a lot of suck growing up. But I'm grateful for now those experiences, because I think that because of the way that we were raised, and listen, just because maybe you had experienced tough things growing up, I mean, real tough stuff that kids shouldn't have to experience. That doesn't mean that, because this ain't a knock on my parents by any means. There was never a time in my life that I ever felt that my parents didn't love me. We didn't always have
except
money.
for when I'm around, because they love me more. So he may have felt like, oh, they love her more than me, but they still loved him, just not as much as
You
me.
see who needs all the attention? This is anyway. No, but for real, there's never a time in my childhood I ever felt not loved, or like there were times where I was hungry, but you know what? Our parents always provided. They found a way. And there was times that we had to work to get that food or to get that.
But that taught us so many things.
So much, yeah.
And you know what is so funny that you bring that up too, is that I have tried to remember like specific Christmas or birthdays that I've gotten a specific gift that I was just in awe of, or that I could remember. And I really couldn't remember like specific gifts other than the cotton candy machine.
It was a legit gift.
It was a legit gift.
Because we weren't allowed to have sugar. And cotton candy is nothing but sugar.
So it's kind of a
we
big
literally,
deal.
Hold on, pause for the cause. We literally were not allowed to have sugar.
Once a week.
Real story. You want to tell the story? Or you want me to tell the story?
Go ahead.
I'm going to tell the story.
He likes to talk more than me.
The trailer we lived in, when you walk in the door, you're in the living room. It's a single wide trailer. And you're in the living room, and then you turn to the left, and you're in the kitchen. And there was a card table in the kitchen, which was the card table, baker's rack, storage unit, everything. But it was where we sat and had dinner. There wasn't enough room in the kitchen for 4 people to sit and have dinner. So our dad and his wife would sit on the couch and eat, and we would sit
watch Jeopardy.
But we would listen. And we would sit at the card table in the kitchen, and we weren't allowed to have sugar. Did I say that yet? So we would sit at the card table and be like, "Hey, Vicky," I was always trying to recruit her. "Hey, Vicky," because Dad liked her more. True story.
Confirmation.
I'll be honest with you. And we would sit at the card table.
I was the good one. That was why.
Yes, in his eyes.
And the principal's eyes.
All right, listen.
Okay, anyways, get that.
Back to the story. So we would sit at the card table. I'd be like, "Vicky, ask Dad if we can share a can of Pepsi." She's like, "No, you ask him." I'd be like, "No, he likes you more." And he'll yell at me. And this is real facts. Like, that's how it would go down.
But wait. Also,
but we were a team, though.
Yes.
We were a team in this. So here's how it would go down. Is eventually, about halfway through the meal, I would convince her to say, Dad, what? We had to wait commercial to come on.
We knew better.
We had to wait till the commercial to come on. That increased our chances of getting to share a soda.
You got to get in there. Timing is everything.
So commercial comes on. Dad, what? Can me and Joey share a Pepsi? What do you say? Y'all just shared one last week.
It was typically once a week we got to share either a Pepsi or RC Cola, depending on how the times were.
And you know how it went. If he said yes, we had to clear glasses and we would put one in there and we would pour it out. And we had to get down on the counter and look at it.
Yeah, or except when the person that held the can.
Getting the can. I want to drink it from the can.
You just got the can last week.
Because there's more in the can. That's why you want to drink it out of the can. But we got through it together.
We did.
We got through it.
And we got a lot of teeth probably left in our mouth that didn't get rotted out.
I didn't have a cavity. I didn't have a cavity until I was in my 20s.
Really?
Literally.
Because honestly.
Because we had no sugar.
No. And we were really healthy because Dad hunted for his food, for our meat for the most part. The fish, shrimp, scallops, any of that stuff was, from him typically, or a family member or a friend family.
The shrimp. Dad would come home with an igloo cooler, the big one, full of shrimp. And we would spend days deheading, deveining, and peeling shrimp. I'm quick at it now.
Flashback.
Hey, Red Lobster, I'll put them out of business on all you can eat, peel and eat shrimp, man.
Well, that, and then moving to Dixie County, growing our own vegetables, and all those things, but with hunting, you have hunting buddies or friends or family, whatever.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to get back to family.
You trade off, if you get, a couple deers this season, but somebody else got a couple boars, you're going to trade some of that boar meat for your deer meat or whatever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
We call it camp meat. So if you kill something, you got to share it with everybody at camp.
Or whatever, however you do it. I don't know what the hey they do, but I don't know.
A little bit about.
But the thing is, the point being is that even if they're not family by blood, that's your hunting family or whatever.
Right.
And you share with each other. But Dad had said to me, and this is going back to, presents of birthdays or Christmas or whatever, Dad has said to me, all the time, about, or not me, but us, but I do remember it of being, I never felt poor, but I guess I was a little younger than you.
I felt poor.
The 50-cent or 25-cent jelly shoes that were my new school shoes didn't affect or bother me at all. I didn't even see that as being poor.
That year I got hairspray for Christmas and a comb.
I don't recall those things. But I was
in middle school too, so it's hard
different.
To be.
Yeah.
I was at that phase of life.
Yeah. But I guess I don't remember the gifts, but I remember the times. I remember Mama and Papa coming to our house, for Christmas or whatever. But Dad saying to us, you're rich in love.
Yeah, 100%.
And
always said that.
And it was so genuinely true because the amount of love that we got from our family, and even, the road trips and things like that, going to West Virginia and back, and, laying in the back of fighting over who got to be in the back of Papa's truck, Papa's truck, to, ride 16 hours. I mean, for the love of Pete, who wants to do that on purpose?
When it's cold out, it wasn't fun.
Argue and fight over it. But I can still remember the sound of the rain on the topper being the most soothing, amazing sound, so no matter what or where or how little or how much we always had family.
Yeah.
And we were always loved and we were always rich.
Did you feel poor when we didn't have electric for a year? I felt poor when we didn't have it.
I felt cold.
We lived, man, when we lived there, this is
what happened. Was it a year?
It was almost a year. Yeah, it was almost a year. We moved from this area, from Hudson up to Dixie County. And this is what happened. We're way over on our time, but it'd be all right. But this is what happened is Dad lost his job because his injury from the military, and he ended up not being able to do the job that he had anymore, his shoulder. Yeah, construction work. So he took what he had or could muster up, and we moved on a piece of land up in Dixie County. And so here was the deal. He bought the land on a note, so he financed it, and it was like 50 or $60. What they call
a note.
Yeah, about
back then.
Buying on time. So about
$60
a month is what he paid for the acreage.
Wow.
But we didn't have a place to live in it. So he made a deal with a guy, RC Long, to put a trailer on there.
Yeah.
RC owned the trailer. And when I say trailer, it wasn't a new trailer. It was a very old trailer with holes in the floor and everything. But here's the way this works. You got to follow me on this. This is a long way to tell a short story. But so you put the trailer on the land.
Oh, I remember.
But you can't, and then you could put a power pole in the ground, but they won't connect the power to the power pole unless you have a culvert. And if you don't know what a culvert is, there's a ditch between the road and the property, and then they put that pipe in the ditch and then cover it with lime rock or whatever, right? So that pipe is called a culvert. And this was the thing. We had to get the trailer up there. So we got the trailer. And then we had to save up money to get the power pole, which is like $150 because it's a power pole and a box.
That up.
And then we had to get $500 to put the culvert and the limestone. And let me tell you, $500 was an unimaginable amount of money. So here's what we did. I was 13 years old, and I worked for RC.
Oh, I do
to
remember.
pay the note for the trailer while Dad worked at the chicken house.
Yep.
To get money to pay the rent or pay the mortgage.
The whole wide world.
Yeah, to pay the mortgage for the land. And so at 13 years old, I'm literally working to pay our trailer note that didn't have electric because the money Dad was making like $20 a day working at the chicken house was the money that we were trying to save up to get the $500 for the culvert. That way we could get the electricity hooked up. Now there's not city water, so there was a pump that pumped the water out of the ground, but we didn't have electricity, so the pump didn't work. So we had one of them pumps like this to get the water out of the ground, like Little House on the Prairie. And so we had kerosene heaters to keep us warm. We had outside fires to cook our food. And in the wintertime, when it got cold, everything froze. So we had it in an igloo cooler, and the milk would freeze.
But wait, though. You had to dig a hole in the ground in the shed area so that your igloo cooler stayed cooler than everything else. So you dug the hole in the ground to put the food that you couldn't, you didn't want to go bad because the ground was colder. And then you put the cooler in there and then you put a tarp on top of that.
Thing. And then it was the whole thing. So that's what we did. I worked to pay for the trailer. You probably just caused trouble.
I was probably at Mama's house eating and doing all the things.
It was tough though. I mean, it was a tough time, but we had a roof over our heads. Yeah. And
we was always at church.
And the church family was really the family that kept us clothed and fed. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, but it took us a year to get that $500 for the culvert and get the power hooked up. And man, I'd never been so happy to take a warm shower in my life.
I can imagine. I mean, I knew it was cold, but I didn't know there was that much, that went into it.
Or smelling like a campfire every day. But I mean, a lot of people did up there. I mean,
I'll never forget coming home from school and there being this horrible smell as I'm like, walking towards the trailer and I'm like, what is that smell? And thankfully it wasn't like there was a whole bunch of kids on our street that like were going to make fun of you because they smelt it also coming from your property, because there were none. There was Arnold.
He'll make fun of us.
And that's it. Well,
he was my best friend, so that's what we do.
Also made fun of everything, but still does. But I was walking like on that Lime Rock Road and I'm like, boy, what is that smell? It is terrible. And it just kept getting worse the closer I got to, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, it is our property.
Yeah.
Manure.
A mound of manure stacked higher than the trailer.
Waiting for us to be there to be able to spread it all out.
Dad had a great idea that we were going to become farmers. And so with a pickaxe and a hoe.
What was the little thing though? I like that little till thing, whatever it was. I thought it was so cool.
You thought it was cool because I had to hand plow.
I did that too. I helped
hand plowed it a half acre on my.
We did that.
Yep, Vicky did it all pretty much by herself.
Probably. Also dug those ditches for like the pipe.
What you didn't do is crush cans though.
I did, because Joey would threaten me that if I didn't do it.
We're out of time, folks.
Yeah. You see that?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. We do have to wrap it up, but
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for everybody who's tuned in. Want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for spending this Christmas Eve morning with us.
Yeah.
And if you're watching after the fact, thanks for enduring 45 minutes of us rambling about our childhood. But we do love you all, even if we don't know you. We love you because you're God's children.
And they might be our family. That's
and
not
we
our
probably
blood.
kinfolk somehow or another. And even if we ain't, we are. So thank you all so much. Thank you for all the comments. Bobby, thank you for the comments.
Mike, our cousin.
Mike.
He's talking about my eyebrows because he knows I got the good eyebrows.
Aunt Robin, we love you.
Love you, Aunt Robin.
See all the family members coming in. So,
you see that?
hey, y'all have a very Merry Christmas. And we'll be back again. Roy and I will be back again next week, Thursday morning, 8:30. We have no idea what the word of the week is then, but Merry Christmas, and we'll see you then.
Merry Christmas.